Thank you so much. Thank you. Hi, how are you? Nice to see you. Thank you so much for coming. We're doing Parashat Shoftim. And in Parashat Shoftim, Shoftim is to appoint judges and officers, to make sure that, to make justice. Let's start with something fun. There was this duck that laid 4 eggs. And as she sat, to wait for the eggs to hatch, a fox came, saw her, attacked her, and ate her up. From some reason, he left the eggs, didn't touch the eggs, and they were abandoned in the nest like that. A chicken went by. She saw 4 eggs, and instinctively she started to sit on it. To wait for them to hatch. Sat on it and sat and sat and sat, and Baruch Hashem, 4 little ducklings came out. Now they didn't know it's not their mother, so naturally they went after her. Make a line, go afterwards to wherever she goes, and they think that they're chicks. So the little chicken teaches them how to look for worms, how to pick them up, earthworms, how to pick them up with their beak, and but they cannot. They don't have a beak. They don't really. They have something different. And they can't. Poor mom, she's picking up herself, these earthworms from the ground, and she cut it into small. She grinds it for them. She gives it into their mouth and constantly, and they don't develop right for some reason. And then one day they were walking next to a pond or a lake or spring or something, and the ducklings jumped into the water, and the chicken starts to scream at them, hello, you can drown. And she's so frightened, and she's calling them, and she asks them to come out, and they're the most happiest ducklings that could be, because it's good for them. They like it. They swim in there, and they just enjoy. And then from her screaming and yelling, the rooster heard, and he came by to see what's happening. She tells them they're not coming out of the water. What should I do? So the father, he said, this generation of today, they're not listening. They're doing whatever they want. They're hasty kids. One of the ducklings heard what the rooster said, and he tells him, don't blame us in your limitations. This is something that the duckling answered the father. Okay? Don't blame us for your limitations. You cannot swim, you cannot enjoy, So, what do you think? Who was wrong there? Was it the chicken that was wrong? Was it the rooster that was wrong? Is the duckling, the kids, are wrong? Well, what's happening over there?
Someone's wrong.
Huh?
Everybody's right.
The mother who left the chicks.
I think the only wrong thing here is the perception. How you look at things.
That's true.
And when you have a standpoint, when you look at a certain reality, how do you look at this, and how do you judge it afterwards? Okay. We're talking today about judging. When it says you should appoint judges and officers to have a judgment, to have a fair trial to people, it's true. But the Chachmei Musar, they say that we as human beings have few gates in our body. We have the gate of seeing, we have the gate of hearing, we smell, okay? We hear, we see, we smell, we touch, And so put guards into these gates. Protect yourself. Not everything that you're seeing is appropriate for you to see. Not everything that you hear is appropriate for you to hear. Not everything you smell, okay? So this is what they say. They say basically, be careful with these things. And but we're judging, and we love judging. I wish we would love judging ourselves. It's not only ourselves, we love judging people. And everything is I want to tell you about David and Yonatan. David and Yonatan were this famous pair of friends that really, really loved each other. And the Gemara said that the Ahava she'ena tluya bedavar, they have this love that do not depend on anything. He didn't love him because he was handsome, or because he had money, or because he could help him financially, or because he could make him, become a king or something. No, they loved each other because they loved each other, no reason. King Shaul was chasing after David, little David, or David HaMelech, whatever. And Yehonatan, his son, okay, knew about that. So he informed King David, and he told him, you have to run away because my father wants to kill you. So he instructed him to run away, and he told him, where to go, how to go, what to do. Okay, fine. King David ran away. But in a chase, he didn't prepare food for himself. And for 3 days, he didn't eat anything. And then he came to the place that's called Nov. And over there, he asked the Kohen HaGadol, please, can you give me something to eat? Now, the Kohen HaGadol didn't know that he was chased by King David, by King Shaul. He didn't know that King David is his enemy. So he gave to eat. Okay? David HaMelech ate, and he blessed the Kohen, and then when he left, he asked him, can you give me also a sword for protection? Because I'm on the run, and I'm on the way, you never know who's outside. And he gave him, innocently, he really didn't know. Story could have finished here. The problem was, there was this Doega Edomi that went to King Shaul and informed to him, told him what happened. He said, King David is Mored B'Malchut. He is your enemy. And he supported him. He gave him money. He equipped him with food, with sword even. King Shaul didn't know all the details, but he gave an order to kill all the people in Nob. Women, men, children, babies. All the people in Nob, they killed them. Now, who to be blamed? To blame? Whose fault is it? King Shaul? Doega Edomi? David that came and endangered this place? Who else we mentioned? Yehonatan maybe? Who to blame here?
The person who gossiped.
The Talmud says something interesting. The Talmud offers, in Masechet Sanhedrin, it says that they blame, in a way, indirectly, of course, they blame Yehonatan.
Mm-hmm.
The righteous man, the one that loved King David so much. How come? Why is it his fault? If you calculated so much, if you knew the steps, the future steps of your father, if you knew that King David needs to run, why didn't you give him something to the way? Because he didn't give him 2 loaves of bread, all this killing of Nob happened. How can you say such a thing? That's not fair. Yonatan really loved David, and he didn't want this to happen. It's true. Yonatan didn't want this to happen. And Doega Edomi, that gossiped and made Lashon Hara, really got his punishment. It's his fault. But the Talmud is carrying checking so in deep and refined way how a man is supposed to take responsibility, how he's supposed to check everything, how he's supposed to be on top of everything, that it comes to a conclusion that if Yonatan would pay more attention, okay, all this killing could have been prevented. Can you believe that? And so this is what we say. We're speaking about the gates, okay, that we have to put, how we're supposed to guard ourselves, okay, not to hear everything, not to see everything. So Rabbi Elimelech Biderman said once that every person has two eyes. With the right one, he's supposed to see only the advantage of his fellow friends. With the left one, he should look at his own disadvantages. Okay? This is why we have two eyes. So, another mitzvah that we have in our parasha, it's also a mitzvah שנקראת עגלה ערופה. מה זה עגלה ערופה? The axed heifer, whatever. If they found a man dead in between two cities, okay, they're supposed to measure which city is he close to, okay, and the city that is close to, the elders of that city needs to come out and confess that they didn't do this killing. Meaning, every city, every community needs to have some kind of a system of charity, of helping the needs. If a guy comes into your town and is lonely, and he has nothing to eat, and he has nothing to drink, and he left the city alone, without any guard, without anyone, to go with him, to escort him, okay, sometimes the blame or the responsibility of his death is on the community, on these elders. Why didn't you care of this lonely person that came? You didn't provide him anything to eat, you didn't provide anything to drink, and he's all alone, and he found dead afterwards. So we speak about very, very fine things here. You have responsibility to other people, not only to yourself. Judge yourself, We see how our rabbis, they judge themselves sometimes in a very severe way. You heard about Nahumish Gamzo. Nahumish Gamzo was a great rabbi. Was a great person of emunah that said, Gamzo, this bad thing happened to me, it's for the best. I'm sure it's for the I don't see it now, I'll see it later. I'm sure it's for the best. This Nahumish Gamzo, it says about him in the Talmud that he suffered a lot. He was an amputee. He didn't have, the upper limbs, his hands, his feet. And beside this, all his body was full of boils, meaning he suffered a lot. And then, on top of this, it said also that once he, lost his house also, and, he became homeless. The students saw that. And they came to the rabbi and said, Rabbi, you're such a righteous man. How can you suffer so much? What is this? And the rabbi explained them something that happened to him in the past, and he was sure that because of that, he suffers a lot. He says, once I was going on the way, and he carried 3 donkeys full of food. He had to deliver from place to place. As he was driving, a poor man came to him and he begged for food because he was so hungry. The rabbi said, sure, hold on. He came down from the donkey, started to unload the packages and started to untie the packages to give him something. All this procedure took such a long time. Meanwhile, Misken, this poor man, collapsed and died. The rabbi took it so seriously, so personally. He said, because of me, this poor person died. If I wouldn't wait for such a long time, if I wouldn't unload and untie, I just to tear up one thing and just give it to him quickly before he dies, this thing could be prevented because I didn't care. I was not aware, okay, of his need. So Hashem punished me, and I go through this. These are people that judge themselves. They don't judge other people. They judge themselves. Okay?
Wow.
So, you see, sometimes there are some people, very, very high quality people, that they put these gates on themselves. The higher standards of this person, okay, the more caring he is about other people. Okay? Think about this. Let's say a regular person, when he walks in the street, okay, he walks in the street, he usually walks alone. He doesn't need people to escort him. He walks on himself alone, right? Somebody that's more important, okay, let's say a big rabbi, let's say, so he goes with an assistant, he goes with a friend. He's not going alone. Let's say Tamlech Chachamim, it's not nice that they go alone. It's good that somebody escorts them. Somebody more important, let's say he's a minister, okay, he goes already with a security guy, okay, he's not going on his own. And imagine to yourself a prime minister or a president. He has so many people around him that you don't see the president himself, because they need guard these people. They need the regular people should not just approach them, because it's dangerous for them, right? So would be this type of high level people, okay, that they demand so much from themselves, and just because they want to be aware of everything. Another example we can see by Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says, "Kol mi she'eno mevaker cholim ki'ilu shofech damim." Whoever doesn't visit a sick person, it's like they kills him. How can you say such a thing? But what happens when somebody visits a sick person? A sick person, when he's all alone, when no one comes to visit him, okay? Or even an elder person that you mentioned before. If he's all alone, nobody cares about him, nobody calls to find out if he's okay, if he's feeling well, if he's everything. So he feels that he's worthless, no one needs him, no one misses him. And it's hard for him to cope with his own illness, with his own disease, with his own problem. When people call, when people come, when people tell him even what's happening out there in the world, and he feels, that he's important, that people care about him, and he has strength to cope, to overcome his disease, not to fall into depression, and to fight, okay? This is what Rabbi Akiva mentioned. So everyone, okay, needs to pay attention to his deeds, especially today when we are in Chodesh Elul, when we're preparing for Rosh Hashanah, right? We have to check: do we go on the right path, or do we go into all kind of potholes and stumble into problems? How do we go? What do you do? Do we take advantage of these days? Do we try to elevate ourselves, elevate people around us, or not? The problem is that when people, they are judgmental, okay, they're judgmental not to themselves, but to others. They never, forgive us. We like to forgive ourselves, but we're judging others. It's unbelievable. I read this thing, and it's so nice. It says like this: when the other doesn't do something, he's lazy. When you don't do it, it's because you're lazy.
Okay.
When the other speaks, he's gossiping. When you speak, it's a constructive criticism. Okay? When the other decides about something, he's stubborn. When you do this, You have a character. When the other doesn't say hello, he's a coward. When you don't say hello, it's because you're thoughtful, you're too busy, or whatever. When the other talks about himself, he's an egoist. When you talk about yourself, okay, it's just to open up your heart. When the other one tries to be nice, so he has motives. When you try to be nice, so it just because you try to be nice. When the others do something without order, so he's messed up. When you do the same, so you're creative. When the other progressed in life, so he got chances. He got, when you progress, it's because it's the labor of the fruits of your labor. You really work hard for that. When the other fights for his rights, he's stubborn. When you fight for your rights, it's a personality. Okay, so this is how we look at others and look. So the whole thing here that we're talking about is accepting the other as he is, okay, and not we so easily judge. It's unbelievable. It's every day. How easily you judge your husband. You say to yourself, if he really loved me, okay, he would see that I came so tired from work. He would get up and help me instead of going straight to his computer. You say to yourself, if he would care about me or he had some sense of responsibility, okay, he wouldn't say this in front of his mom, something to me that and something. You say to yourself that if he would care, he wouldn't announce or tell me that he cannot come the last minute. You could have told me last week. Why the last minute? Are we perfect? Okay, that's your husband. What about your daughter? You say to yourself, how could she wear such a nuts and no dress? We criticize our daughters. Okay? Do you know which test she goes through? Okay? It's not easy. She has this friend, she has this classmate, she has or whatever. We criticize. We judge. Okay? You say to yourself, I told her so many times not to leave the house without washing dishes. How come she didn't clean or she didn't... You say to yourself, why did she get this mark in the math test? Probably she spoke all day long with her friends and didn't study. Okay? We like to criticize and blame or judge our neighbor. Okay? How come she goes shopping every day? Where does she have the money from? And then she cries that she cannot pay tuition. Huh? We don't know the whole story and we judge. Okay? Oh, my friend, the lawn next to our house is never cleaned, or she's there. How come she's this? How come she's that? How come their windows are this color, or I don't know exactly what? We like judging. And parents, we judge our parents. If they would give me a bad education, okay, or how come I have this miserable childhood, or they forced me to study this, or they didn't pay me half of whatever I pay to my kids, or you see all kind of stuff. How come they're not this? How come they're not that? How come they're that? And we do it so naturally, okay? And so I will tell you about the Rambam, the Maimonides. When he wrote his book, Moreh Nevuchim, the guide for the perplexed, whatever, rabbis came against this. so objected this book because they thought they were scared that when simple people have a simple emunah, this is going to confuse them, this Moranuch and this book. So people, rabbis from Germany, send a messenger by the name Rabbi Meir to check on him, to see how he is. This messenger Rabbi Meir comes to Spain, where he was. He was in Cordoba, the rabbi at that time, Rabbi Mahavis. Before he came to the city, he sat by the river next to the city, and he was learning his book. And from some reason, he forgot his book over there and continued his way as he came to the rabbi. He knocked on his door. A servant came, opened the door. How can I help you? You're looking for the rabbi? Okay, he's eating his meal now. Can you wait? So the man tells him, tell the rabbi that I know that he's eating now, and he's eating eggs. He went to the rabbi, and he told him, the rabbi, the new guest said that you're eating eggs. The rabbi said, okay, tell the guest that he forgot his book by the river. So Rabbi Meir was impressed. He came in, and the Maimonides, he asked him to come and sit next to him where he eats. When he sat by the table, he saw something frightening. He saw something that looks like a hand of a human being. The Ramban? Is he a cannibal? Does he eat human being? What does he eat? He was so scared, and the Rambam, he offers him to eat, and he's, no, I'm not hungry. He was disgusted. And then the rabbi says, can I offer you something to drink? The rabbi said, okay. So he calls Petrus, go and fetch me wine from the cellar. Petrus? Was it going to bring a wine? No, this wine is not kosher. When Petrus came with the wine, he said, no, I'm tired, I cannot drink, I'll take this water, I'm fine. So, okay, he didn't eat, he didn't drink. The rabbi prepared his room and he went to rest. The whole night this Rabbi Meir couldn't sleep. Why? Because just before he went to bed, he hears the Ramban tells his servant, go and kill the calf that was born yesterday, go and kill it. And because tomorrow, in order to prepare this nice meal for the rabbi tomorrow, kill a calf? Why not to slaughter? What is this rabbi? The whole night he was tossing and turning and tossing and thinking and was in thought. He didn't know what to do, didn't know how to approach, what to tell the rabbi, how to go back to his country, what to tell to his rabbis. In the morning he woke up and he came with his red eyes. The rabbi said, sit over here, I want to talk to you. I know exactly what you're thinking about me, and I know exactly who you are and where you sent from. I want to explain you something. This hand that you saw on the table is a type of a vegetable that we have in our country. You don't have it in your country. I'm a strong believer, he says. I'm a doctor. I don't believe in eating a lot of meat. I think that eating vegetable is so much healthier than eating meat. So we have this type of very, very healthy vegetable that looks like a hand of a human being. But you thought that I'm a cannibal, right? And then you heard me calling Petrus. And you thought that my servant is non-Jewish. You know that in the Gemara there's a rabbi by the name Rabbi Yosef ben Petros, meaning there were some Jewish people by this name, and you just suspected me wrongly. And I know that you were not able to sleep at night because you heard me saying kill that animal. Okay, there is something that's called ben pekua. Ben pekua is when you slaughter a cow, and inside the cow, inside the stomach, there was a calf, a live calf. You don't have to slaughter it. Enough you slaughter the mother. You don't have to slaughter the mother too. And I wanted you to eat this calf because the meat is so gentle, it's so tasty. Okay, it's something fresh. But you didn't know. He sat with him and he explained him a lot of stuff, and he taught him. He opened his eyes. He didn't know a lot of things himself. He came back to the rabbis and they tell him, ממשה אל משה לא קם כמשה. He's so knowledgeable. He knows so much more than we think we know. It's unbelievable. This is when people, they suspect, when people judge, they're prejudgmental. He knew already from advance that he might not like certain things, and so this is how he was thinking. Hillel Zaken says in Pirkei Avot, he says, "Ve'al tadun et chavercha ad shetagea limkomo." Don't judge your friend until you are going to come to his place, because when you don't understand the whole picture, you don't understand why he acted a certain way.
Get the tissues.
Yes? So, right. I want to tell you a very nice story that I read. There were two judges. One was named John, one was named Bob. Okay? These two judges had a different approach, okay, in their court systems. John was very much into help the accused people that came to him. If he would find a person that, let's say, didn't pay taxes, he wanted to know what was the reason that he didn't pay taxes. Was it because of greed, or was it because of a certain financial situation that he got into economically was so hard for him right now, he couldn't pay, and this is the reason that, so there's a motive, there's a reason, there's, you see if the person did it once or more or whatever, you see if there was intention, whatever. And according to this, he judges, and he really wants these people to, he would be in touch with the authorities, and if this person had to be jailed, he would make sure that he find a good job after he was released from jail, so that he won't go back to do this mischiefs or crazy stuff or whatever. So he really cared about. Bob, he wanted to maintain law and order. He was very strict. He was very tough with the convicted. And he wanted to give them the utmost punishment so that they won't do this anymore. Different approach. One day, the newspaper came with big headlines. These two judges, John and Bob, were caught that they were, they hired and they employed people without certificate, not licensed worker. They had not licensed worker. And now they wanted to see how the court system, how the judgment, what's going to be, how they're going to judge them, what's going to be their punishment, or what they're going to do exactly. So they came in front of a judge that didn't know them at all. Okay, so you won't be biased. And the judge was very smart. The judge said, I'm going to judge you according to how you judge your convicted cases that people came to you. He ordered his secretary, go and check in the file, in the computer, and see how John acted and see how Bob acted. John, because he was easy with the people, okay, he would give them only $1,000 fine and probation or jail, not jail, but how you call it?
There's a word for that.
You call it, I don't see it. Suspended, suspended sentence. That's how it's called. Meaning he's not sitting, only if he will be caught again, this is when he's going to sit in jail. But the other one was so strict, Bob was so strict with the people that came to him, he would give them $15,000, 3 months in jail, and another 3 months on top, just in case, whatever. So he got the utmost punishment. Mm-hmm. Meaning, we are all judging. We're coming now in front of Hashem, by Rosh Hashanah. Hashem is going to judge us. Oh, yeah. If we're easy with other people, Hashem is going to be easy with us. If we look at everything in the most severe way, God forbid, in heaven they also can look at us this way. So it's up to us. And so, במידה שאדם מודד, the same way that you measure people, This is how in heaven they're going to measure you too. So this is how we have to be careful. And now we have to learn does it mean to have the benefit of the doubt, okay? To judge people favorably. There was this hot day. People came into the train. It was so hot and humid outside. People just wanted to sit and relax. So in the beginning there was room, so whoever came in sat. But then slowly the train started to be filled up and packed with people, and there was no room to sit, only standing. There was this guy that was so pale and weak. He came and he sat, because it was empty seat, he sat there. And then later on came an old woman, huffing and puffing and tired and sweaty and with holding all kind of bags and whatever she was holding. And she sat and stood next to him, and she looks at him. She wants him to get up. And he doesn't pay attention, or he makes himself not pay attention. And she's like, the generation of today, how they don't care, how they don't respect elders. Another old lady tells her, I'm telling you. Another old man says, it's not what we're used to be. It's not what we're at. And this old woman looks at him, this young guy. She tells him, where's your manners, young guy? This is what they taught you? And I see that you have a kippah, you're a religious Jew. Don't they teach you in school or in your yeshiva that you're supposed to respect and get up? When this boy heard that they already start questioning and maybe there will be Chilul Hashem, he got up, and this lady sat down on his seat, and you know, before he regrets. And then she saw a drop of blood dripped on her skirt, and another one, and she sees that this guy, his shirt started to be full of blood, and she's like, hey, what's happening to you? Why are you bleeding? Look at you. The boy is telling her, yeah, I had a procedure, I was in a hospital, and the doctor put stitches, and I guess standing now, it opened, and so why didn't you tell us anything? He says, when you're questioning and then you start saying things about Chilul Hashem and my education, I just got up. Don't worry, I have to get up now. But you think twice next time before you judge people, and you left. The whole place, the whole people, they were shocked. They were speechless. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to say. How cruel sometimes people can be when they judge other people. So people they always talk, and people like to express their ideas, and they like to hear and to be heard and to come into conclusions. There was this rich man by the name Mr. Cohen, and Mr. Cohen used to do all kind of businesses with people. At a certain point, he made a business with this Jack. Okay, they met and they started to argue, and they didn't agree, and they started to fight, and they started to be very vocal. And to calm down, Mr. Cohen suggested to Jack, you know something, let's go. There's a kind of a nice huge park. It's like a forest. Let's go to the outskirts of this city and sit down and relax and talk it out, and you know, hopefully, you know, we can come to a better agreement or something. So they went to there, started talking this and that. All of a sudden, he took this, he had a big sum of money because they had to do business. He had a lot of cash with him. He took, when you want to turn on, when you want to smoke, you have, how do you call this?
Not matches, no.
How do you call this?
Oh gosh.
Huh?
Lighter?
The lighter.
Lighter, yeah.
He took out the lighter and he started to burn money. The headlines the next day in the newspaper said that this man burned $150,000. Now, when such a thing happens, The police is supposed to investigate it because you're not supposed to discard money, especially not this amount of money. The investigation took so long, and meanwhile, in the newspapers, every day they come with a new assumption. Oh, this person, he did this. Oh, why he did that? And what's the reason of that? And every time they come with a new gossip, with a new assumption, with a new they fabric stories and whatever. When it came day of the trial, Mr. Cohen himself got up and said, I want to explain you something. We came to this nice little forest. We started talking. All of a sudden, a huge wave of bees came towards us. And Jack started screaming. He's allergic to bees, to the bites of this bees. And this allergic reaction can cause him death even. He doesn't know what to do. What should he do? What should he do? So he remembers, Mr. Cohen, that some fire, chases them away. He took some documents that he had and started to put them in fire. So for a while, these bees went away. They saw the smoke and all that. But then they started to come back. He didn't know what to do. He started to take bill after bill and started to put them in fires to save Jack's life. This is what he wanted to do. And slowly, by the time he left the forest and this bee left them, he burned $150,000 just to save the life of this Jack person. It's unbelievable. We look at the story, we don't see the whole thing, and we judge. And in order for us to prevent ourselves from judging, what do we have to do? Okay? It says that in order for us to have some things, we have to learn how not to come to this circumstance that we judge, because it's so not appropriate, it's so not, and then we are ashamed. How come we come to these points that we judge these people this way? So if we think a little bit where this person is coming from, sometimes, let's say he promised you to do something and he didn't do. People forget. It could be that he forgot. He didn't pay attention. What can you do? In Israel, every summer, also here, there's a wave of, usually it's hot there, yeah? And lo allen, it happens that people leave little kids in a car. And the car gets hot, and lo allen, kids cannot survive. They dehydrate and people judge them. Are you not responsible? How can you do such a thing?
They were telling us at work they should kill this mother. Kill them.
And it can happen to everyone. Okay, when somebody has a certain routine, so you have the routine, but these things happen when it's out of the routine usually. He was not supposed to babysit this kid, and he took it just to do a kindness or chesed or to help out. And he came and he totally forgot for him because he's not used to. And then, lo alenu, later when they remember, happens that this person, he cannot control himself at that moment from some reason. He got so mad at somebody called him and said a piece of news to him or something about the family or he got so mad. He was not even thinking what is he saying, and he did something crazy. We don't know what exactly happened. How would we act in such a circumstance? Sometimes when somebody so pressured, he says stuff that he would never ever say when he's aware of what's happening. Happens. Let's say somebody has a problem with his HDAD or he cannot really sit and concentrate, and we don't understand how come people, don't sit, there's a shiur, a rabbi, they don't sit politely, they don't listen, they're constantly touching, constantly going, constantly coming. Maybe he has a back pain, cannot sit in one place. Maybe he has this, maybe he has that, maybe what kind of things can cannot concentrate, cannot, all kind of stuff happens.
Especially when a woman is pregnant, she can see.
She
She
cannot
cannot
see
say,
it,
she
she
cannot.
cannot, well, yeah, a lot of limitations, and not only pregnant women, sometimes kids, and we judge kids, okay? And sometimes older people have the same problem continues with them. The fact that he's older doesn't mean that he doesn't have the problem anymore, okay? Some people are, let's say he's too tired now. You're too tired. When you're too tired, you say things that you didn't want to say. When you're too pressured, you say things or you act or things that you usually don't do, okay? Of course it's easy to judge. But again, the same you're easy on yourself, try to be easy on whatever we mentioned before. Your husband, your neighbor, your friend, your sister-in-law, your mother-in-law, your, so sometimes people missing certain expertise or certain, he's not educated in certain thing. So of course he said something because he doesn't know, he don't have enough intelligence in something. Could be so many reasons. Somebody forgot to turn off his cell phone when he comes to a shiur, when he comes to a class, when he comes to shul. People look at him like, yeah, it happens that everyone forgets here and there. And sometimes, let's say somebody became chazor b'tshuva. So he's not aware of all the laws. He doesn't know anything. We don't know the person. We think, oh, she's religious, she covers her hair. But how come she speaks Lashon Hara? How come she wears these colors? How come she's so vocal? How come, And, okay, she doesn't know these things yet. Give her some time, have some patience. We don't know the whole story, and, we like judging. So there's all kind of reasons, and sometimes people are pressured with money, and whenever they're pressured with money, they also, either cannot return the loan or tests that a poor person have when he doesn't have the money. He goes and he does certain things that you said is how people dare doing such thing. A test that a rich person have, we don't understand because he has so much, and we don't understand because we've never been in his point, in his perspective.
Yeah.
How can you judge him when he doesn't want to socialize, when he doesn't want to see people, when he wants so much to isolate himself, when whatever the way that he acts, this rich person. So the Yetzer Hara that your friend has, even inclination, and the Yetzer Hara that you have is two different things.
True.
And whatever she went through, you didn't go through. Whatever she had, the problems with her parents, or problems with her job, or with her boss, or with her husband, or with whatever, we don't go through. So how come we let ourselves judge? Mr. Katz, he was a very, very devoted teacher. Was precise, always was on time, always in school, never came late, never. For him it was a principle, never to come late, because if you come late, your whole day starts, the wrong way. You may be upset at the students, you may scream, you may say certain things, so you would always make sure that he comes on time to school. And then yes, one time it happened. His car didn't start. He had to run here, he had to run there, until he came to his school. He came 5 minutes late. Huffing and puffing, he came to school. He was so, sweating and everything. The minute that he came in, he saw his student, Daniel, looks at the watch and he got so upset. How dare you look at the watch and say, you came late today? He slapped him. He never did such a thing in life. But he slapped him, and he believed that he deserved this boy, because this is a chutzpah. You're not looking at the watch and say to your teacher, you came late. Of course he was crying the whole day afterwards. Of course he didn't study the whole day. Of course he was upset at him and whatever. And at night time he got a phone call from the mother. The mother said, I want to tell you something. Yesterday was Daniel's birthday.
Oh.
And his grandfather came from overseas and he brought him a new watch. Now, my Daniel admires you so much, loves you so much. The first person that he wanted to show is to you. Look at my watch. Look at the new watch that I got. And what did he get? A slap on his face?
Oh.
The teacher didn't know what to do with himself.
Oh.
He felt so bad
Wow.
that this trust of this boy was ruined in a second, because he got upset, he got angry, he came late to school, and of course you see. So we judge certain look, certain clothing, certain this.
It's true.
Unbelievable. And I'd like to finish with something really, really strong, how judging can really, these simple things that we said, but when judging could kill somebody, God forbid, this is when it's really, really serious. You have to really take care about that, think about that, learn about that too. This story was in the time of a Magid Mitrisk in Europe. So 2 rich men came to speak with the rabbi. They said, we are both rich people. We do a lot of merchandise. We went once we wanted to go to the fair. We had a lot of cash with us, okay? And because we wanted to do a business, we hired a wagon and we were going on this wagon. On the way, we saw a poor melamed. Melamed is a teacher that used to go from student's house to student's house, used to teach them. Sometimes for a month he used to teach them until he gathered some money, and only then he would go home. We saw this guy and we felt sorry for him. We offered him, do you want to go on the wagon with us for free? He thanked us so much and he went up and he sat with us. For 2 days we were riding, and then Shabbat came. So we stopped in an inn and we told him, it's on us, come, on us. He was so grateful. Shabbat came. Just before Shabbat, we had a lot of cash money. What should we do? We decided to hid it we had this kind of cabinet in our room. We decided to hid it over there. What can we do? To hide it there. So this is what we did. Motzei Shabbat, we came back to check the money. 200 rubles were missing. Who came with us? This Melamed. He's poor. He needs the money. So we started asking him. He said, I don't know anything. Nobody, we need to search your things. They searched him. They searched his clothing. They tapped him and they felt something, in one of his pockets. They opened it. They saw 200 rubles. What do you mean? Well, what is this money? It's money. It's mine. I worked for it all this month. I'm working for it. It's my money. And they started arguing and they started fighting. The landlord heard what happened, came up. What happens? This and that. Oh yeah, just before Shabbat he came and he asked for a thread and a needle. Now I understand why he wanted a thread and a needle. He wanted to sew it into his pocket so you will not see it. And they started to hit him, to beat him, to be very, very violent with him. And after, they did all this, they just left him and continued on with their journey. 2 days later, they got a telegram. But they didn't have cell phones, they got a telegram. Urgent. What happened? The wife of one of the rich people sent a telegram to her husband. She said, listen, before your trip, I needed 200 rubles. So I took 200 rubles from your wallet, okay? I didn't have a chance to tell you that I took it. I'm just letting you know I took 200 rubles from you. What to do now? The evidence showed. You see, he had $200 hidden in his. Of course, it's ours. What do you think? How couldn't they judge? So they went back to see what could they do. They heard that this person, La Alenu Misken, from sorrow, from there, he passed away. So they came to this Magid Mitrisk and they asked him, what should we do? The rabbi told him, you have to do 3 things. Number 1, you have to support the family of this person, pay their tuition, pay all their clothing, all their needs, all their expenses, until they're married. And when they get married, you have to marry them off like you married your own children. And they were rich people. They were very, very wealthy people. Like your kids, meaning abundance, okay? Number 2, to accept on yourself galut. Galut is to go from place to place, not to rest in one place in one night. Always constantly going from place to place, and every place you go, you tell the story. So people will learn, people will know that judging, it's so severe. Judging can kill. Judging can do harm things, and this will be your tikkun.
Wow.
So this is what we say, הבן דן את כל האדם לכף זכות. מה זה כל האדם? The whole person. Don't take this incident and judge the person according to this incident. You have to put all the person in there, all the consideration. You have to put all, see where is he coming from, who is his parents, what is his background, who is his friends that influence on him, what's his story, he has money. We are not able to do such a thing. We are not Hashem. We are not God. So, יהיה רצון that, like Rab Zusha and Rabbi Elimelech Melijan, used to say, יהיה רצון שנראה במעלת חברינו ולא בחסרונן. We should always see at the advantage of the other people. We should look in a good eyes at the other people. Don't look at their disadvantages. Everyone has disadvantages. Don't look at the disadvantages. Look only at the good things of a people. Somebody said here, wrote something nice. When you point a finger at someone, you also have 3 fingers pointing towards yourself, right? Mm-hmm. That means that when you look at yourself and when you criticize, okay, think 3 times before judging. 3 times before judging. Maybe it's your fault too. Maybe you're not right. Yeah, may Hashem save us from judging people. May we guard our tongue and our mouth and our see whatever we see, whatever. And B'ezrat Hashem will inscribe us to a good, healthy, happy, sweet New Year. B'ezrat Hashem. Thank you so much.